most recent shooting at a Florida high school. The conversation may be inevitable come tomorrow when thousands of students plan to walk out of their schools to remember those who were killed.
My wife and I were two of those parents until last night, actually. So this may bring up a lot of questions for your kids, and I know firsthand it's not easy to answer those questions. So we've reached out to our friend Dr. Marcia Slattery, who's a child psychologist with UW and an expert in anxiety. Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We were just talking before we started this just how challenging this conversation would be, and really the context in which you have to have it. I mean, I'm talking to a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old about school shootings, and I have to, don't I?
Right. Yeah, I think that's one of the important take-home points is you have to have the discussion and you have to talk about it. We tend to think that younger kids especially aren't hearing about it, but they absolutely are. It's on the playground, it's in the lunch discussions, it's everywhere, and so it actually makes it more confusing for kids if we don't have the discussion with them, because then they're wondering, why are we not having the discussion with them, which heightens the anxiety and the worry all the more.
And I was just saying, I got that exact question from my 8-year-old last night. I was like, why haven't you told me about this?
Why not? Let's talk about it, right?
And I told him, I mean, I didn't want him to have to deal. I mean, it's tough being a grown-up in today's society. Can't they just be a kid anymore?
Yeah, I think what we're, the reality is that this is something that's now a danger that we have to acknowledge. It is what it is, and being prepared is really what these kids need to hear about. And they need to hear what's the plan, what's the safety part of this. So we need to talk about the danger, but more importantly, we also have to convey to them, and here's what we have in plan for safety, both at school, what we're going to do at home. Just like we've talked about before, when you're at school, you have fire drills. We now have drills for intruders. Here's what the code is, here's what we need to do, and you practice it as part of that routine. It's sad that it's part of the routine, but it is. And I think even harder would be that we have these isolated practices, and that gives more anxiety.
Yeah, we've been having this conversation, Dr. Slattery, about talking about these situations and issues versus showing them and showing, perhaps video or pictures over and over again of this. What are your suggestions? Because are our kids going to see this regardless of whether we're showing it to them or not?
Showing the danger itself.
Or even these images of these shootings and things.
Exactly, especially with social media and the exposure to things. And you make a good point. We don't want to show that over and over and over. It would give the impression that this is something that's happening daily and that every time I go to school I have this imminent risk. So I think it's important to have the discussion that this happens, not to overexpose them to them, but again to say, here's the plan that we have in place. Here's what we know we have to do, because you're then conveying that sense of empowerment to the kids, that sense of safety, that just like in other places, we go to the airport, we have to go through screenings, we have stranger danger that we talked about, we're now talking about intruder danger, and here's what we need to do, and here's the plan to keep you safe, so that they feel like they can go to school and it is a safe place.
How do you then, kind of wanted to give you the final opportunity, how do you as a parent talk to your kid then about what's going to happen tomorrow? This walkout. Yeah,
I think tomorrow, I think it's a great opportunity for kids to have a voice and to think about it so that we're not silencing them, and to say, this is something we want you to be part of the discussion about. So I think it's a great opportunity at all ages, and the schools are handling it differently, appropriately, because of the elementary or middle school or high school. We're really giving them a voice in this discussion, and to have them understand that they are part of this, and we want them to be part of this, which empowers them all the more.
Absolutely. Dr. Marcia Slattery with the UW, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks
it's good to see you.
Yeah, fascinating. I'll send you an email and let you know how the conversation goes. Almost 20 minutes after 6, the president is blocking the largest proposal